So in November, Airship Syndicate and Digital Extremes parted ways. They laid off, unfortunately, all of the third-party publishing department, which also handled other games aside from Wayfinder, from Digital Extremes. And a lot of people that were Wayfinder players were kind of wondering what's happening next with the game. And it turns out that Airship Syndicate said they were fine, they have enough to last a couple of years at least, and that they're going to continue trying to make the best game they can possible to keep the game going even further for the long run. With that said, there's also been some interesting information that's come out since then in the form of interviews and in the Discord, and it's just like things that they have said that kind of make you wonder how much control did Digital Extremes actually have with Airship Syndicate, and were a lot of the issues that players had issues with part of Digital Extremes publishing plan, or if it was part of the Airship Syndicate's normal plan. And we're going to go over the interview they had with Massively OP, as well as some of the Discord posts that they have made, and talk about these interesting things that they've said. So let's go ahead and go over the interview right now from Massively OP. It says, last week Wayfinder fans were shaken by the news that another round of layoffs at Digital Extremes was accompanied by the dissolution of the studio's publishing outfit and the severing of its publishing partnership with Airship Syndicate. Now, they've talked to Solid Age here. It was my understanding, which may be incorrect or outdated, that Digital Extremes was not hurting for money. So why this sudden about face when it comes to Wayfinder? Is Tencent somehow to blame? Is this really as simple as DE wanting to leave the publishing business? Why is it happening so dang abruptly? My personal theory is that they just wanted more funds to put towards their own projects like Soulframe, which they have coming out at some point in the future, next year, maybe 2 years from now. But they're getting ready to do like a big kind of alpha pre-alpha push going in December. They're gonna invite some people in. So I think that has a big role in it, but let's see what they say. Airship Syndicate Director of Marketing and Engagement AJ LaSaracina, I can't speak for Digital Extremes or for Tencent. I can say that we began working on the transition plan with DE the second we were informed. And they were informed the same day that everybody else was informed, unfortunately. So it sucks to not have any real way to plan for that. How exactly is Airship going to keep supporting the game? How much funding is it sitting on? How long can it go the way it is now? And is the company looking for a buyer or a new publisher? Does DE have any hand in running or funding the game now? How about Tencent? Might something like Tencent's Level Infinite pick it up? Airship right now has enough resources in both staff and funding to run the game for some time. In the meantime, we'll be talking to publishers, including some that have already expressed interest. We are confident that the terms of DE's divestment make the game and the deal appealing to a potential partner. Did Airship itself lose anyone, or was it all just DE folks? There have been 0 layoffs at Airship. Was the experience boost last week calculated with this move in mind, or was it coincidence? So he says publishers set priorities, and 3 weeks ago we went to Digital Extremes and said that we wanted to switch up our focus. We believed that we needed to fix the fundamental issues with the game before we delivered more content in Founder Season 2. The 2 content updates that did release had been done prior to launch. DE approved this pivot. Experience was at the top of that list. Our next focus will be UI, loading, technical performance, drop rates, and more. Our number one priority right now is to fortify the base of the game. And real quick, we did get some information about the patch that's coming out this month in December, and it's going to be over 2,000 bug fixes, 76 pages. I'm going to have it all here on the channel. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do one long video or split it up into multiple videos, depending on the section, how long they are. Let me know in the comments, and subscribe so you are here when that video drops, or videos. So he says it's important to note that the publisher has control of first-party accounts. So in our case, we were unable to update PlayStation at this time. These weekly patches will be for PC for the time being, and then as soon as we're able to update PlayStation, we will, which has been taken care of. They're now able to update PlayStation. Those players will still be able to play as they normally would, but crossplay will be disabled. This is entirely out of our control, and we know it's not what we advertised or envisioned for the game, and we'll update as soon as we're able to. Is there any kind of refund plan on deck? As far as refunds goes, that's entirely up to DE as they handle all payments. So even then, people are looking at refunds, everybody's looking at Airship when the game first came out, and it was DE that was handling all that stuff. Presuming that there's funding for the game, how have the game launch plans altered? What is the prognosis for reviving the game with free-to-play and getting the player counts back up and into the profitable zone? The honest and real answer here is that we don't know. We're putting pause on our season structure and assessing our calendar. The team here agrees that just racing to free-to-play isn't the answer. We are staying true to the vision of early access, where we work with the community to fix fundamentals as well as implement meaningful changes. But that doesn't mean we're not releasing content. We'll be addressing the fundamentals mentioned previously while also releasing content along the way. Seasons were our wrapper of sorts. It included a new character, a themed reward tower, new weapons, new quests, new locations, etc. Instead of waiting for a large seasonal drop, we'll be taking those pieces of content and releasing them alongside the smaller patches and fixes we're doing at the faster cadence. We'll also be updating our roadmap to be more about what players can expect from the next patch, both content-wise and fix-wise. So when we were like, they gotta hurry and fix this game, all these issues, why are they taking so long? It's because they were trying to package it all up into one like seasonal giant patch drop and get everything fixed in now. And that's pretty much what we're getting now, but they've also dropped some other fixes like the XP fix, the affinity perk fix, and being able to reset those. In the future, from here, when I go into the Discord messages, you'll see that it seems like the seasonal model was something that was more along the side of DE's idea, and without the digital extremes part of it, they're breaking out of the seasonal model and just pushing out content as they want to, as they need to, as they feel it needs to come out. And if they think something needs to be fixed, they probably prioritize the fixes and still try to get the content out at the same time. We'll have to see how that works, but right now we know the big patch is coming. I'm really worried for this game. I cannot believe a project with that much money and effort behind it is worth nothing. So I think this is a weird sentence, personally. I don't really understand it. I've read it so many times now and I don't understand what they mean by that. I cannot believe a project with that much money and effort behind it is worth nothing. Like, what? So he said the game definitely still has value. Airship is motivated, arguably more than ever before, to make Wayfinders a success. There is still a lot that we don't know, both about the transition as well as what the future holds, but we aren't slowing down. We'll be hosting a community stream soon to talk directly to the community as well as give more info once we have it. And so they decided not to go with the community stream. They did kind of have some streams when they dropped the Affinity patch update. They didn't really go too much about the streams for this. They decided to just put more of that in the Discord and messages and notes and the Q&A, which I have videos for those of if you guys are really interested in knowing what they said. So as far as the other things they talked about, one of the things we have here is that in regards to DE's publisher situation, it says this actually allows us to be more agile and update even faster. But stay tuned for our statement. Why do we have Flash Shop and Wayfinder instead of one big catalog? This is for the store. Mainly a tech and old directive, we have control over it now, so stay tuned for some update already in the works. So saying we have control over it now means that the way the rotational shop worked in the game was something that was put in place by Digital Extremes, the publisher. And sometimes the publishers have say on monetization and how certain features are going to be added, and it doesn't necessarily mess with the core of the game, the gameplay part of it, or issue messages. But this seems like to be one of those issues where they did kind of handle and direct the way the monetization was going to go for Wayfinder. So another thing we have is, what is the biggest gap you're going to have to fill because of this? You mentioned launch delays, but if you guys do all dev in-house, I'm curious to what has truly changed. It says that their day-to-day operations was with Airship. The only exceptions were login queues, accounts, and etc. And if you've played recently, they have started to mess with login queues again. And this is going to be on Airship's side, where they're getting those in place, I think, for when a big influx of players decide to come in either at launch or when this next patch drops. Narf, will the team be making a merch store or is it too early? And that's one area that I will now have much more freedom to pursue. Apparently they weren't able to talk about merch or having merch options for people to buy. That was also seemed to be a part of the Digital Extreme side. Gameplay this week alone has been a massive step up from the last. This is the way to go. This last week was actually a good taste of what happens when Airship steps on the gas without a lot of restrictions, to be honest. Wait. DE was slowing you guys down? I wouldn't say that. They helped on a lot of fronts. We are going to need to figure out now, but things will always go slower when there are multiple checks and balances. So when they want to release something, they had to kind of go through different departments and wait for all that stuff to get back to them to see if it was okay to do that. And now they can just say, let's release it. He said he wouldn't say it, but he actually really said that going through all of these checks and balances was slowing them down. It was mentioned you'll be able to put out content faster and with fewer restrictions. Are you able to say what kind of restrictions were previously in place? No specifics, but publisher usually sets priorities and dates for things. So anytime we're wondering about when this date is going to drop, when is the next patch coming out, why is it taking so long, that was all set by the publisher, it seems. It seems like Digital Extremes, as a publisher, doing what publishers do, is they kind of had somewhat of a leash on Airship Syndicate, and in this instance, when they were able to let go of Airship Syndicate, it gave them more freedom to kind of interact with the community and do these fixes the way they wanted to. Now they could interact as far as like talking with, but as far as like putting action into place, it seems like they weren't really able to do that without going through the bonus steps they had to, based on whatever contract they signed that had them do that. And it's not to say that Digital Extremes was bad for Wayfinder in a sense, but it is to say that their hand isn't being held anymore, and now they can kind of run wild. That seems to be what the case is with Wayfinder, Digital Extremes, and the publishers. Tell me what you think about that in the comments. Do you think Digital Extremes is holding Wayfinder back, especially seeing how they're pushing out these patches and this large patch they have coming out, which I guess would have been the seasonal patch anyway? Let me know in the comments. I hope everybody from Digital Extremes that end up getting laid off finds something soon, if they haven't found anything already, and are back on their feet. And until the next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video, which will not be the large patch ones. I have more videos coming. All right, peace.